Hey guys, welcome to the psychopath era of my channel. Today we're taking a look at, well, Dean Withers, and Dean Withers is a leftist political commentator sort of person, dime a dozen, debating Lily Tino on her content. If you don't know who Lily Tino is, she is a very controversial trans, and whenever I say this, keep in mind everything has an asterisk next to it. Trans TikToker who is most known, I think, for like going into restaurants and then getting mad whenever she's called sir, even though a lot of times like the waiter is like foreign and different languages have different pronouns and everything. Like it doesn't just fit to he him. Like I learned this recently. Japan, or Japanese rather, actually has different pronouns for women and girls, like young girls, and then whenever they become women, their pronouns change. So, sir is sometimes like there's only one for that. Like sir is just everyone in some languages, in some cultures. Uh yeah, but then she asked for the manager and everything. But in this video, they're more discussing her other type of content, which is going into Disney World. Is it World? And then, yeah, because I think she's from Florida. Uh, like taking hot dogs and then like basically like cutting them up and describing bottom surgery. But keep in mind, Lily Tino has never had bottom surgery or any sort of transition surgery other than facial feminization surgery. So, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's something she shouldn't be talking about. And also, something she shouldn't be doing in public. And I don't, and like if a child, because she aged at very young ages, if a child is interested in that, they will find it on their own. They don't need Lily Tino to explain it to them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. But let's uh let's look this up. Oh, and she's not a doctor or anything either. So like that also doesn't help. But yeah, let's get started on this. I skipped the little the little coming up intro, and we're just gonna start right this. I'm not gonna actually show the video because it's just Dean Withers' face, and I don't think you guys need to see it.
I got a text from someone who said that you mentioned my name, so I dropped in. And then the second I dropped in, I heard you say something along the lines of that I wasn't a good example for the trans community. So just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I'll share what I know. So first and foremost, I think that there's a handful of things that you do in which serve as regressive to the trans community because they play into the hands of the stereotypes that are perpetuated by the vulgar right. Like for instance, I think that there's many videos on your page.
Oh yeah, so Dean Withers is, as I said, a political commentator, but he's also one of those people who decides to talk like really fucking fast because I don't know, for some reason that's become the debate bro voice. I don't know if Ben Shapiro or who the fuck started that, but like we're regressing as a society as is, so can we just like regress back to like unga bunga, like caveman talk? Because this shit is fucking annoying. But yeah, we'll continue.
Where you're like talking about like a hot dog sitting in Disneyland, using really simple terms to understand that could be understood by a child, to talk about like sex reassignment surgery. First and foremost, I don't think that there's anything wrong with like an explanation and education surrounding sex reassignment surgery, but when you're doing it in the context of the environment of Disneyland that's designed for kids, using an example of like a literal hot dog, which is understood by kids with words that could also be understood by kids, it kind of plays into the narrative that the right sets forth surrounding that, like trans people want to sexualize and turn all the kids trans, right? Which isn't true. And I also can understand that that likely wasn't your intention in making the video, and rather you had good intention. But I still do think that the real world outcome of the right being able to take advantage of that and use it as an example insofar as why they are justified in their vulgar prejudice can definitely be served as an example of how I would like to deem you as a little bit regressive to the trans community.
So first of all, um, SRS, sexual reassignment surgery, isn't even called that anymore. It's called gender affirmation surgery or GAS, which is funny. And then, I don't know. It's funny to me. Um, but also, yeah, that's it. That's my only comment so far.
Okay. Well, here's what I'll say to that. Yes, Disney is partially for kids, but Disney is also a thing for adults. A lot of adults love Disney. There's a whole word for it, Disney adult. And I
Shout out to Callie Lopsided Titbitch, who is like, you know, looking at Disney adults, body cam brunch and all that, and is a Disney adult herself. So shout out to her.
think there's a narrative that we really haven't talked about enough, which is when you're talking about, like, oh, the right is using this as ammunition against us. The right looks at this and says, ooh, we can use this to say, hey, look at this, trans girl who is essentially, even though none of the videos include children, I'm not talking to kids, I'm just by myself at Disney talking to a camera, but you can look at those videos and say, ooh, it's ammunition. But at the same time, I could sit in my apartment with a corn dog. I could sit in my apartment and use like actual anatomical whatever, right? And people would be making these exact same arguments, right? Like, it doesn't matter if I'm at Disney. It doesn't matter what we do, because we're not the ones who are inspiring them to be transphobic, right? That transphobia exists with or without my video.
Why do you need to be the one to make the videos to begin with? Like I said, as I said, Lily Tino is not a doctor and doesn't have kids, so it's not like she's like a mom or whatever. I- And it's not like I guess it would be different if it was like a trans parent making these videos, who had a kid go through this or whatever. Um, but like kids aren't getting surgery anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like it's pointless. Like you can't have bottom surgery, at least male to female bottom surgery, vaginoplasty until you're like 18. 17, very rare instances, but that, as I said, very rare. Um, yeah, no, it's 18. So like kids don't really need to know because it's not something they can even have. Like, what?
They're going to use anything and everything we do against us. I just happen to like being at Disney World. I grew up on shows like Good Eats, Mythbusters, Bill Nye. Those shows explain interesting but sometimes difficult to understand concepts using engaging, fun things like food and, models and stuff. And I think that, as a trans person myself, as a trans creator, the number one thing in my inbox is always, what about bottom surgery? Tell me about that. I want to know about that. And I'm happy to talk about it because I do think it's shrouded in so much mystery and, like,
I'm the little sack boy right there, down at the bottom, at the of left. Why? Why are people asking Lily Tino? Is it trolls? Like, why would anyone ask Lily Tino? Like, there's the only thing in my inbox is people asking about bottom surgery. Well, yeah, tell them you haven't fucking had it yet, so you shouldn't be fucking talking about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of creators who talk about it and who have had it. Like, there's better on TikTok alone. Like, if you're seeing Lily Tino, you're probably in like the trans side of TikToks. So like, there's plenty of others to ask, unless you're just asking everybody. But like, Google it. If anyone is like legitimately asking Lily Tinos, and like we're doomed. We're doomed as just a society. Holy shit.
cis people like, why would you do that? And I'm happy to answer it. And I also love Disney. So that's why I made that video.
Okay, so first and foremost, I feel like if you were right in the sense of, well, regardless if I were to film this at Disney or at home, they're still going to find a way to use it against me. I would argue that, like, sure, it is true that a shit ton of people hold a whole lot of prejudice against trans people, and they will use nearly any goddamn action from a trans person in order to, like, spawn in transphobia. But I feel like what would refute that particular view as it would relate to your actions doing this at Disney, and I like that whole thematic idea of notion of, like, doing it and teaching it to children, fulfilling that narrative stereotyped by the right, is that you also hear a lot of pushback from people on the left who would be conventionally pro-trans on this subject. And because you hear a lot of pushback from a lot of people on the left who are more conventionally pro-trans, compared to maybe the actions of other trans people who don't get that same pushback from the pro-trans group, would definitely demonstrate that there's still yet a way, insofar as how you're pushing inflammatory content that pushes the boundaries in ways that, like, lead to more fear-mongering from the right about trans people.
Okay, I hear you. Let me ask you a question then. I am a very clocky trans woman. I have a deep voice. I am.
Yeah, because you don't fucking try. Like, okay, so passing, we can go into that. Passing is, everyone has, not everyone. Some people have passing privilege. Some people can pass easily. Some people can't. Whatever. But you can try. Like, you can change your voice. Like, go back and look at my older videos. Like, you'll see, like, my voice has changed a lot. Like, because I busted my ass. So, like, if you're, a public figure, as Jordan used to say, and, like, if this is something that is bothersome to you, then why would you not work on it unless you're just trying to rage bait? Like, that's why a lot of people do truly believe, myself included, believe Lily Tino is a rage baiter, because she doesn't, like, there's no change. The only change she's had is FFS. And, obviously HRT has done some changes too. But, like, other than that, like, she's exactly the same. Like, she looks the same. She sounds the same. Like, there's no effort, but, and it can't be, like, a money issue because she's going to Disney World all the fucking time. So, like, which is more important, going to Disney and teaching kids about, like, you know, whatever, or is it your transition? Like, you got to make that decision in your life.
I'm tall. I have big bones, right? Like, I get a common criticism for me is that, like, well, you're not, working hard enough or doing enough to
Exactly.
pass, right? So let's say that I was a passing trans woman who had a different voice, whose face looked a different way, who you maybe couldn't even tell necessarily was trans. Let's say I made that exact same video in Disney. Do you think that the exact same criticisms would be levied against me if that were the case?
Well, I mean, I'd be making the exact same criticism.
Yes. Yes, the exact same. Not that one, but other ones about the fucking videos that you're making, about the hot dog video, because they would still be weird, right? They'd be weird if a cis person was doing that. It's the concept of doing that for kids, and it's not just like trans surgery. It would be weird for any surgeries, but especially like such bottom surgery, especially, is such like an intimate surgery that, like, that's not something. I mean, technically, you could say it's not inherently sexual, but I mean, like, there is a sexual element to it because it's a vagina. Like, that's what it is. And, yeah, so, like, yeah, no, kids don't really need to know about that. Well, it depends. Yeah, they don't. And if they want to know, as I said, they will research it themselves. Or ask a fucking doctor.
About you, given that it created the same fear mongering, right? Like, by pushing that inflammatory boundary, right?
Well, that's the thing, though. Would it, right? I'm not talking about, like, your fear mongering. Do you think the fear mongering would even happen?
Yeah, I do. So listen, I could agree that maybe it wouldn't be exacerbated to the same extent. However, I still do think it would exist because ultimately, okay, a lot of the inflammatory pushback that you hear from the right to create fear mongering generated on the basis of your content, saying this trans woman who in their eyes, and by the way, I'm not saying this is from my eyes, from their eyes doesn't pass, is like, explaining this in a sense in which inflammatory with sexualizing children, fulfilling the stereotype, or they're just saying a trans woman is doing this, right? I feel like, you take a trans woman, if they do or don't pass in the of the bigoted right, and you put them in that position, and we're going to hear a very similar response. And I feel like this response is just shared by people on the right. You know, it's kind of something that I'm explaining right now. And I know the same reservation is held by a lot of people on the left that are conventionally pro-trans. You know what I mean? Like, once again, you know, like being intentionally inflammatory and kind of like pushing this boundary to generate that fear mongering. But maybe it is unintentional and you have good intention, you do it, or maybe it is intentional. It's for like more views that ultimately then has like more negative second order reciprocal effects on other trans people and on other members of the trans community.
So, okay, all right. I guess my question to you then would be, what is your solution then, right? Like, is the idea that in
Don't fucking do it, dumbass.
order to fight back against transphobia, to change people's minds on like, hey, we're not sexualizing kids, we're not, you know, invading your bathrooms and taking your sports away, right? Is the idea then to be like well-behaved model citizens, never say anything even a little bit controversial? Are we supposed to kind of be these like goody two-shoes? Because that kind of seems like what you're suggesting, right? Like, yes, I am a provocative content creator. That's just kind of who I am. That's who I've always been. But at the end of the day, when I make the content I make, the idea is not just to rage bait, right? My goal is not to make people mad. It is to provoke a response, right? Even from people like, for example, my dad's side of the family is deeply conservative, and they will never, ever be the kind of people who are on the front lines with picket signs against us, right? They will never, ever.
Provocative. Let me see if I can get a definition here. Merriam-Webster definition. Ba, 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 ba. Serving or tending to provoke, excite, or stimulate. I don't know if. How could you say you're not rage baiting if your terms is to provoke? Like, by your own definition, the provocative maybe not the best choice of word. I don't know.
Ever, speak out against, let's say they had a trans colleague. They would never make that situation uncomfortable, but they will always vote red, right? Okay. So when I make my content, the idea is to provoke responses from people who are the silent.
So I'm feeling a sense of victimhood here, right? Always having to need to be the victim.
Majority of trans folks.
I have an idea. So point number one, you said, well, Dean, right, it's either, right, that I do this thing that you're accusing of being like intentionally inflammatory and playing into the stereotypes perpetuated by the right about trans people, or I'm some like complacent goody two-shoes. And I don't think that that's a true dichotomy. I think that there's a way to make the content in which you do an advocacy for the trans community without playing into the stereotypes perpetuated by the right. And I think that way is demonstrated by many other trans creators and trans influencers on a daily basis. And in fact, I'll actually give you a test in which I think you could use to prove this to yourself. Earlier, you said, Dean, I think that we would see the same pushback against me and my content, given that I made it from bedroom at home compared to a hot dog at Disneyland. So, prove me wrong. Okay? Make that same type of content from the bedroom at home for the next year, and I bet by the end of that year that there'll be a significantly more positive view about you from like the left, and there won't be as strong like counter responses against you from people on the right. You know what I mean? And
well,
on top of that,
I know you're right. I know you're right. I agree that would probably be the case. But also, if I were to make content out of my apartment for a year, two things would happen. The first is it just wouldn't be interesting content because I wouldn't be interested in making it because I like to get out and about, right? Like, I have no interest in hiding from the world, right?
Oh, so you do
Can't lose the views.
On purpose. So you do it on purpose, knowing that if you create the content at Disneyland, absolutely, it'll be more provocative and inflammatory. Okay, well, this is one of those situations where I don't think that all publicity is good publicity, and I think that other trans people really feel the receiving end of that bad publicity because you are fulfilling, now intentionally we're learning, a lot of the stereotypes perpetuated by people on the right. Like, yes, sure, like a trans person going on the internet and explaining gender sex reassignment surgery with words that like 6-year-olds could understand using a hot dog at Disneyland is something that will be provocative, is something that will generate that publicity. But you must understand that ultimately that publicity doesn't push the pendulum forward for the social acceptance of trans people across the globe, including in America. And inevitably, a lot of trans people will end up feeling the receiving end of the bigotry that will be spontaneously created the moment more people on the right are able to convince others that trans people are delusional, right? Trans people aren't delusional. Okay, trans people aren't attacking kids. Trans people don't want to make your son, become a girl. Trans people don't want to like go into the women's restrooms and take pictures of little girls and take advantage of them. That's all a lie. Okay, and it's a narrative that is being pushed by the GOP in order to get Americans distracted on trans people, on that 1%. So then they're not thinking about the top.
Well, Dean, I don't know if you could say that about Lily, you know? I mean, she does want to take pictures of the bathroom. I don't know. That's strange.
1% that's taking their health care away, sending their kids to war, and fucking them over on a daily basis through bad public policy only for the benefit of the richest among us. And I feel like as if you're kind of playing into that narrative a little bit, because then you legitimize the stereotypes falsely through the eyes of the bigots, because now they could point towards like real world examples of where these stereotypes materialize. So like, once again, this is a very nuanced conversation where you're not like 100% a bad guy. I do think it's a good thing to be like advocating for like the social acceptance of trans people. Trans women are women, trans men are men. I just simply think that there's a better way to go about it. But ultimately, I want to ask you to listen to me on this point. I'd ask you to listen to like the trans community on this point, which obviously I don't speak for.
You talk about listening to the trans community.
Can I hop in just for 2 seconds, really quick? I'll let you both finish your conversation.
Hey, one member of the trans community here. Listen to me, Lily. Stop making the fucking videos, you fucking weirdo.
Lily, sorry, if I can ask, what are your pronouns?
She heard.
She, her. Okay, perfect. Really quick, and I'll let you guys have it. Chat. Please stop the misgendering in the chat. Be respectful. Keep it together. It doesn't matter whose opinion you actually prefer, whether you agree, disagree. Don't be disrespectful. Don't engage in any type of transphobia in the chat. Please, please, please.
Imagine if I had, like, during one of my live streams. This part's really funny to me. Imagine if I just had, like, one of my admins just, like, come up on screen and was like, no, don't misgender them. Don't do it. Like, just fucking shut the fuck up and do your fucking admin job in the fucking chat. Like, remove anyone. If you don't want Lily to be misgendered, just remove them. Like, whatever. Remove the people doing it, like, or time them out or whatever. You don't need to come like fucking chat. Like, what the fuck?
Stop the misgendering. Stop being intentional. The mods are on it. I'm helping the mods as well. Keep it in the guardrails. Sorry, I'll let you two finish your conversation.
Or mods, my bad. You know, whatever. Admin mod, whatever. Oh. Ad.
You want ads that drive results. That's why we built Roku Ads Manager. Sign up at ads.roku.com.
Right. So, yes, when I make my content, it is provocative, right? Like, I understand that when people see a trans person at Disney World, and specifically when I'm talking about the things that I'm talking about, it can provoke response, okay? That response comes from a place of transphobia, right? You and I can probably agree, like, oh, when people get mad about this, it is coming from a transphobic place, right?
I think that like my position in this conversation is coming from a place of transphobia.
No.
Okay, so then I think so. You just admitted that there could be dissent to the content in which you create that doesn't come from a place of transphobia.
You're reacting to people's reactions, right? Like the nastiness, the right wing people watching this and
Well, yeah. Okay, he is, but I'm not. I think you're fucking weird.
saying, oh, this proves our theory correct. That's what you're reacting to, right? You're not reacting to my content. This is you have a meta reaction to my content, right? If you saw this in a vacuum, it would be a different conversation.
Okay, yeah. So you're arguing that like the non-meta reactions of people seeing it and then being really upset is rooted within transphobia as it would relate to people on the right. Is that what you're arguing?
That when a bigot watches my video and sees me in Disney World. They think
How is she not getting that, like, not just people on the right don't like her? Like, uh, she claims to not be a rage baiter, but, like, is she just stupid? Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't think there's another explanation. Like, you have to be stupid to not understand this, right?
oh, Lily is, got like a audience of children that she's waving a corn dog at.
Okay.
Right? Like that's what people think is happening. It's not happening. I'm an adult that enjoys Disney World. I'm a content creator that talks about trans issues. And also you talk about the trans community like it's monolithic, right? Like the trans community is massive. And you say like, well, you should talk to people in the trans community. I have. Right. And it's not as black and white as you make it. Right. There are people who look at the content I make and say, I get what she's going for. Right. Just because certain loud voices, especially right.
Well, no, it depends. Is the trans community, like, are we saying the trans community just as trans people or people actually like participating in like the community as a whole? Because those are two different things. But either way, that yeah, it's not a monolith, but like, I don't know anyone who, and I have a lot of trans friends. I don't know anyone who likes fucking Lily Tino.
Right-wing voices like Eden and the Doll and Blair White, who are used in a completely different way by the right to perpetuate stereotypes about trans people, right? What I'm doing has like a lot of thought put into it, right? And not everyone sees it the way that you see it, and not all left-wing people see it the way they see it. Because what I will say is that you talk about left-wing people who are typically pro-trans, but those people are only pro-trans to a point, right? Even the left has its own deeply ingrained
Oh my God.
transphobia to deal with, right? Like things that you might not even think about. Like I deal with that kind of stuff. Every trans person deals with some level of baseline transphobia that we were raised with, right? Like what I'm working towards is a world in which an adult trans woman can go to Disney World, right? Enjoy herself, right? And not be seen as a predator, right?
Well, yeah, but you would probably not be seen as a predator if you weren't talking about fucking dicks and like.
I listen. I think that's a good goal.
I'm almost done. Even without making those videos, right? The corn dog videos.
And I would never go to Disney World because fuck Florida. But if I guarantee, if I went to Disneyland, no one would care. No one would care. Um, and that's the thing, like, because I don't talk about dicks in public, like it's not how.
Even just posting selfies of myself at Disney World and streaming, just eating food, like not doing any sort of scripted content, those comments were the same exact thing. Oh,
Because it's from your fucking past. Like, this is, see, I'm glad we have the new term psychopaths because this is, it fits, right? Because, you know, a psychopath is someone who does the same thing over and over and expects different results, right? But a psychopath is someone like this who, like, doesn't realize their past changes them, you know, or like their past still, like, people don't have the memory of a fish. Like, every post, like, you're still, like, going to be a psychopath no matter what.
Grooming children. Oh, you're going looking after kids, right? Like those prejudices already exist, whether or
And yes, people are going to hate on trans people just for being trans, obviously. Like, there are people like that. Like, it's all over, like, Facebook. I see that all the fucking time. But, and, you know, different sites, of course. But, like, you know, I mean, like, you can kind of get rid of those people too. Like, you can ban those people or whatever else, or just ignore them. Like, anyone who has any sort of popularity is going to get shit. And that's just one thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's whatever.
not I am making scripted content that is provocative.
I think it's a good goal to want to achieve the goal of like more societal trans acceptance. I just don't think you're going to achieve that goal by talking about genitalia at Disneyland.
Okay. I mean,
Do you see the point?
My goal is one drop in a bucket, right? I'm not like, yes, this video is going to solve the problem, right? I make videos, and when I think about them, I'm thinking maybe I can use this interesting backdrop, this catchy backdrop, and this provocative concept to explain a concept to some people who don't know about.
Do you think that that video pushed the pendulum? Did it help?
In terms of what?
To achieve that goal of more like pro-trans acceptance in society?
I think that that video taught some people about bottom surgery and that it was an interesting, funny, and engaging way of doing it.
But ultimately,
What's funny about it, though? That's what I would like to know. What's the joke?
the amount of people that were taught about bottom surgery legitimately through that.
So are you saying that bottom surgery is funny? Lily? Someone who hasn't had bottom surgery? Is it just a joke to you? I'm joking. I know I'm putting words in her mouth now, but like, you know what I mean? Like, she's so terrible at wording things. It could mean anything. It could literally mean anything.
Video of you talking about genitalia at Disneyland. Do you think that the pros of more people knowing about the way that bottom surgery operates was offset by the harm of legitimizing or at least perceptionally legitimizing a far right stereotype by materially giving them an example to point towards to push the pendulum in the wrong direction?
So this is the core of what I get into a lot of conversations with people about, which is creating, right? It's like the idea of inception, right? Am I idea in people's minds that was never there before that trans people are predators? Or is that deep-seated prejudice that was always there and needs to be addressed brought to the surface by my content?
So she basically just said, well, they already thought that, so like I'm just showing them that trans people can be predators. Like, is that not what is like other than being worded differently, is that not what she just said? Like, I'm not stretching, right? Like, that's what she said, right?
You know what, Loki? All right, I think I'm just gonna leave you this, and I'm probably gonna move back onto the debates. I wouldn't care if it's like a cis or a trans person. If anybody was talking about genitals at Disney, I would think it's fucking weird. You know, I'm just gonna be real. Like, clearly, I think that the reaction of oh, that's fucking weird is gonna be exacerbated due to the fact that you're trans, and that, like, as you said, is gonna be rooted within transphobia, 110%. But it's like, just don't even give them that. You know what I mean? And it's like in most situations where it's like, oh, like if I do this thing, we're gonna have a response of, like, say, racism for black people. Should we like do this thing even though we know it'll generate that response, or should we like be complacent with not doing that thing because of the response of the generation of more racism? Like, clearly, okay, right? It's not like bad to do something if it would provoke somebody to be racist in a reaction to you, because that's not a grounding for not engaging in an action, or else we would be looking at Rosa Parks like a really bad person because a lot of people were really racist in response to her not sitting on the bus where society told her that she was supposed to. But the reason why I feel like the same line of thought doesn't follow, but the reason why I don't think that train of thought follows in this circumstance is because in all,
You know, there are too many people nowadays who think they are the next Rosa Parks. I'm just gonna say that, like, in society, not just Lily Tino, and not just, you know, in the trans community, not just in the LGBTQ community, but there's just so many people who think they're the next Rosa Parks, like they're this big savior, and it's going to be like idolized, or not idolized, but like just like, you know, looked at the same way Rosa Parks was, you know. And I think that maybe we just need to stop that. Like, no one's going to be looked at like that. Like, yeah.
reality, okay, Rosa Parks sitting in the place in the bus where she wasn't supposed to, according to society, on its own wasn't wrong. In the vacuum, that wasn't wrong. But I feel like in the vacuum, it actually like kind of is a little like weird, wrong, antisocial to be talking about genitalia at Disneyland, and that's ultimately why it's something that you shouldn't do.
Why can't I talk about?
Wait, can I hop in for just 2 seconds and kind of give the perspective on why?
Okay, here's the mod again.
So the one thing that I will say is that, like, I think that advocating for a purpose or a cause is always important, especially if it actually means something to you and you want to use whatever way that you think is best to amplify your voice to do so. So I'll never knock anyone for amplifying their voice. But the one thing that I will say is that understanding as a being a marginalized community and a minority, understanding that the targets that we can paint on other people back just by, as creators, us putting a certain message out, is something that we always have to be mindful of. You, me, Dean, all of us have a higher responsibility because we're given a platform by the people that believe in us. And since we're given a platform by the people that believe in us, we have to make sure that we're being good stewards of what they give us. And so just because we have the privilege of doing certain things doesn't mean that other people within our community will have the privilege of doing that as well. And in the same sense that just because we're someone that people see all the time, we may not be as in danger. Like other people that are connected or associated with us can be in danger because of what we do. So we just have to be more mindful of the things that we do to make sure that we're not perpetuating harm to the people that we're advocating for. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, is that Lily doesn't realize just how privileged she is because not everyone gets to go to like Disney World every week or whatever the fuck she's doing. Uh, You know, so she's like, well, I don't pass, blah 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 blah. But it's like, okay, but you're privileged because you have a lot of money. Like a lot of people don't also have a lot of money. Like, you know what I mean? Especially in the trans community, the queer, or just even the queer community. A lot of queer people don't have a lot of money. Like that's just factual.
I think we can agree to disagree here. I mean, look, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. The trans community is not monolithic. A lot of people see what I'm doing and appreciate it, and I'm
But are
happy
you
to
not worried
continue
about
doing
those
it.
people that you're putting in jeopardy and harming?
Well, who's really putting them in jeopardy, right? Is it me? Because what we really
Oh, I'm the victim.
who we really need to be talking about is the actual bigots, right? How am I responsible for that?
Well, I think more than anything, what we need to talk about is privilege, right? And while I get your point, I'm not saying that you're wrong in the sense of people who are actually inflicting the violence. It's very privileged to not sit here and see that there's a possibility of violence that is being perpetuated by people with hate, ignorance, and bigotry. I'm not giving them a pass. I'm just saying that we as creators have to be more mindful of this. Like we have to make sure that we're not putting other people in jeopardy because we directly won't be affected. That's all I'm saying.
Also, point number one, by
The mod was annoying earlier whenever he came in was like, no, use Lily's correct pronouns or get banned or whatever the fuck he was saying. Because like, why not just do that in the chat? But like now he's like making sense. Like I agree with everything he just said.
saying that, you're saying the trans community is monolithic when you argued it's not monolithic like 3 minutes ago. And point number two, you said, why is
How
it
am
wrong
I
to
saying
talk
the
about
trans community is monolithic?
One moment. And then this is the point that I wanted to address a bit ago. You also asked me why it's wrong to talk about genitalia at Disneyland because genitalia is a place predominantly for children.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
Have
It
you
absolutely
ever heard, like, literally, there are the word Disney adults. It's a whole thing, right? Like,
Right.
Disney has nights
I have a
that are
question.
just for adults.
Why is Disney Kids not a thing? Because it's already by default a place for kids.
And adults.
No, because you just said
They
yourself.
call it Disney.
Disney adults is its own thing that people use as a phrase for adults that go to Disney because by default, Disney is designed to be a place for kids. There's no such thing as Disney Kids because by default, it's for kids. Therefore, you have to give it its own label when an adult goes there, like Disney adults.
Yeah.
You get my
right.
point? Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I understand the point you are trying to prove. I understand.
Oh my god, Lily Tino sounds like fucking Joran. Like, or I get what you're trying to say there. Like, or in the fucking apology calls. Like, Jesus Christ.
What you're trying to say. Firmly disagree. And look,
Or was that to Minnie? I don't remember. He said something along those lines.
I think we talk about privilege. I understand my privilege. I understand I have a platform. Okay. I understand that, yes, I'm a trans woman, but I'm a white trans woman, right? I also understand what it means to be a passing trans woman and the kind of privilege it.
Oh my god. Like, I have these privileges, but I don't have that privilege, so I'm not privileged.
Affords you, right? This conversation wouldn't be happening on this live the way it is if I were a passing trans woman. It just wouldn't, right? Passing trans women are treated differently. They are given
Constant victimhood from this woman. Or this, yeah.
more grace. There's certain things just on the algorithm that I can't do because I simply cannot get away with it because people won't allow me to.
Okay.
I think that's again, and that's why I didn't speak in the sense of your community, but I did speak in the sense of like marginalized communities, because myself as a Black man, I understand what you're saying. But I think as a creator, like as someone that is given a platform by the people that support us, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're not portraying any type of intentional or unintentional harm to other people that would be affected within our community. And that's all that I'm saying.
I understand. And look, again, we're getting back to the monolithic conversation of you can interpret what I'm doing as harmful, but there are different opinions out there, right? Like I don't need to tell you again that.
Listen, I'm sure there are trans people that like Lily Tino, to give this psychopath the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure there are. I'm sure some of them are just trolls just trying to get her to make more content, but I'm sure there are some. But if I were to guess, I'm guessing those are probably people early on in their transition who are still like discovering things about themselves and will leave Lily Tino. The fans of hers, like actual fans who are trans, will leave her once they discover more people who are better TikTok creators, TikTokers, whatever the fuck you call. I don't know. But trust me, there are better trans creators on both TikTok and on YouTube than Lily fucking Tino. Like she's one of the worst. Like I've seen her content. It's terrible.
That the trans community, the queer community at large, the world, right? Like there, if you look at the comment section, it's all negative, right? My comment section is, at least on this app, all negative. But you look other places, it's not the case, right? There are different conversations and different viewpoints of people
Oh my gosh, she's so close to saying I am beloved.
who see like, look, yes, what I'm doing is provocative. Yes, it is something that like, Jesse Waters on Fox News or whoever is going to use a clip of my thing to be like, hey, look, trans people bad. But
Why give them the bait? That's the whole thing. Like you never really answered. You just said you're not a rage baiter, but like you are. Like you're giving the Fox News or whoever content. Hmm. Like how do you not realize? And then you're not even making money off of it. Other than I guess people then come to you to hate you. Maybe is that what it is? It's just to make money. It's gotta be.
there is also a level of provocation happening that starts a conversation within some people that can change minds, right? And I'm one person. That's the kind of content I make. I think ultimately all three of us on this chat are on the same page about
No.
how terrible it is for trans people right now and what we hope the future holds. And I think we're just coming at it from very, very different angles.
Yeah, okay. Well, once again, I just say if you want this to be a descriptive conversation surrounding what will push the pendulum forward towards the societal acceptance of trans people, well, empirically, I feel as if your methodology of doing so has failed, and it's been proven to have failed. But Lily, I appreciate you for joining the live today, and hope you have a good rest of your day. All right?
Yeah, you too.
Okay, that's the end. So what did we learn? That Lily Tino sucks and is basically transjoran. Thanks for watching, everyone.